Genshin Impact's version 4.5 is here, and we can finally pull for the owner of Chioriya Boutique, Chiori. Fun fact, she made some of the costumes worn by other playable characters. Of course, I will not forget one of my favorite characters, Arataki Itto is also having his rerun. But here's the thing, I do not advise pulling on their banners. Hi, this is Earlbedo, and in this video, I am going to tell you 5 reasons why you should skip the first phase banners of the version 4.5 of Genshin Impact. But before you accuse me of being biased and arguing that this video is pointless because you should pull for whoever you want, you are actually correct. But as I usually say, my goal in making this video is to specifically help F2Ps and new players to make wise decisions in pulling. So this video may not be for you if you have already made up your mind to pull for Chiori or Itto's banner. However, if you are still unsure or if you are a beginner or an F2P who needs assistance in making a decision, please keep watching. Also, before we start, please subscribe to my channel for more Genshin Impact guides like this. I am not an F2P, however, I still make sure that the characters or weapons I pull is a wise choice. Usually, I ask myself if I enjoy the lore and the character design, will it help me in the long run and help me beat the Spiral Abyss, which I really enjoy. Does this character or weapon match my playstyle? Do I need to save up for any upcoming and better banners in the future? In addition, you must establish your priorities first, particularly if you are an F2P. Are you in need of a support character or a DPS? Is pulling for the weapon really necessary? Answering this can be quite challenging at times, but don't worry, I'm here to help. So here's reason number 1. GU is a very stagnant element, which most of the time also means it is not the meta if you care about the meta. The element G only has one reaction to most elements, which is Crystallize. And to be honest, this is nearly useless in higher AR and in the Spiral Abyss, except for Navia who needs the crystal shards and other few select characters. Dendro, which has been in the meta for quite a while now due to its strong reaction, doesn't actually work with Geo, which is really annoying. For me, Genshin Impact's selling point is the great implementation of elemental reaction mechanics, which Geo doesn't really play a big part of. So if you love elemental reactions or you care about the meta, then do not pull on this banner. However, if you're like me who simply enjoys to play Geo characters and doesn't really care about complicated elemental reactions sometimes, then feel free to pull on this banner. For the next reason why you should not pull in this banner, let's talk about Chiori and Itto. Chiori is a sub-DPS 5-star Geo character who could also be a main normal attack DPS like Keqing or Alhaitham. The thing here is, she scales both with attack and def like Earlbedo, which makes me annoyed because why would you want players to have a hard time building a character that can easily be just def scaling or just attack scaling like many other characters? Itto has a better implementation since he converts his def to attack just like how Hu Tao converts her HP to attack, which makes better sense than Chiori's split scaling. These two characters also have many potential substitutes from other elements, which can mean being able to trigger a reaction that also results in a higher damage. Chiori has a very similar kit with Keqing and Alhaitham, which on paper are stronger since they can trigger Aggravate and Spread or even Hyper Bloom, which if you do not know yet is a very strong elemental reaction. For Itto, Navia is often compared to him since they are both Geoclaimer users, but Navia has an advantage with Itto because she works very well with other elements since Crystallize increases her skill stacks and other element actually buffs her attack. Itto most of the time is locked to a certain team, specifically with Zhongli, Gorou, and Bennett, which means he is less flexible. But again, my point is, if you are an F2P or a new player, there are a long list of other characters that can be better for you in terms of investment. Speaking of characters that might be worth your investment, in the second phase of version 4.5, one of the strongest Hydro DPSs and best supports in the game are having their rerun, the Udex, Neurvelet, and Kazuha. It's like Hu Tao and Yellen banner all over again, because it's crazy that these two were allowed to be on the same banner. Neurvelet, aka the Hydro Dragon of Fontaine, is a foolproof DPS that can sustain himself in combat. Imagine being able to output this amount of damage without needing a healer or a shielder since you can heal yourself. He is also a Hydro character which works really well with other elements. Kazuha also has a very good reputation lore-wise and in-game since he is an Animo support, which means he can wear the Viridescent Veneer set that shreds resistance of enemies, while providing elemental damage bonus at C0. Not to mention, his crowd control is one of the best in the game. So if you are a new player or an F2P, it is more advisable to get characters that will be more flexible and useful to your account now and in the future. Particularly Hydro and Animal characters. And you can just get Chiori or Itto if you really like them on their future reruns. And surprise, Arataki will be released next banner. I do not know what her kit is yet, but I'm really looking forward to getting her soon. I genuinely love the 4-star characters this banner. I actually have built C6 Yunjin since I mostly use her in my Ayato and Yoimiya teams. I also am desperate to have just one more constellation of Gorou to C6 him for my Itto. And we also have Dori, which is interesting. Kidding aside, I really don't think these characters are the best for beginners. For instance, it's okay to have Dori, but there are other better 4-star Electro characters out there. Next is Yunjin. She is a dedicated support for normal attack damage dealers like Wanderer, Ayato, and Yoimiya. So if you do not have them, you won't actually need her. Lastly, Gorou is specifically made to support Geo characters like Itto. So unless you want to snipe and take a risk in pulling them, I recommend saving your Primo Gems this time. We are on to the last reason why you should skip this banner. In this banner, we will get a chance to pull for the signature weapons of Chiori and Itto. Uraku Misugiri is Chiori's signature weapon, which is also her best weapon. This is a very juicy 88.2 crit damage main stat, with a fairly low attack for a 5-star weapon, which is understandable due to the high crit damage and scaling of Chiori. This also provides normal attack damage bonus and elemental skill damage bonus, perfect for her. And if an active Geo character deals Geo damage, the aforementioned bonuses are increased by 100% and the wielder's depth is increased too. Sadly, her dolls I think are not considered Geo construct. On paper, this looks very great. Characters like Chiori and Earlbedo mains will surely enjoy this. It can also be used by almost all DPS sword users like Ayato and Kaching. However, the high crit damage is at the cost of a low base attack and unnecessarily high def. So basically, the crit damage is just for stat stick for non-Geo and def scaling characters. This means if you're not pulling this weapon specifically for Chiori or Earlbedo, you are better off saving your Primos and wait for a more fitting weapon for your non-Geo DPSs. Now let's talk about Itto's signature weapon, the Red Horn Stone Treasure. Just like Chiori's, it is a crazy crit damage and relatively low attack. This weapon is mainly for def scaling characters like Itto since it increases def of the wearer while increasing the normal attack and charge attack damage based on their def. This is also just a stat stick for most non-def scaling characters since this is mostly utilized only by Itto. So again, if you're not pulling this for Itto, just save your Primo Gems. Chiori and Itto are great Geo characters for sure, both in-game and in their lores. However, if you're a new player or an F2P, maybe list down your priorities first and think twice before pulling for them. But if you really like to pull for them, no one's stopping you. Just make sure to prioritize your needs and have fun too. Are you going to pull this banner? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Comment below. Again, this is Earlbedo. See you next time.